Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have another set of 3 crazy revenge stories for you. But before we start, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You stole my car and I'll make you homeless. This story happened approximately 4 years ago to a friend of mine. He and his wife, girlfriend back then, took a house loan, bought a new Chevrolet Camaro, and in general were preparing for life together. He'd just proposed to her. Because of their lack of free time due to their hard work to pay off the loan, they didn't have a lot of time for themselves, nor for the normal amount of other things such as housework. So they hired a maid. His first impression of her was good, and they decided that she was a person they could trust, and they handed her their house keys. Because they were at work most of the time, she came around to clean the house. First few weeks, she worked hard and always paid attention to details and nicely cleaned their home from top to bottom. She was also instructed not to let anyone in and always lock the door when she left. After 6 months of working there, strange things began to happen. Not in any anomalous way, but things started to disappear, like being stolen. It all started with small things, like AA batteries, which are barely noticeable missing, but soon things graduated to phone chargers, perfume, the expensive ones, and some electrical gadgets went missing. My friend thought that he simply lost them, but soon the maid raised suspicion as things went missing when my friend wasn't present and she was cleaning the house. But without any evidence, blaming her wasn't in place. Also, he found out on social media that she's got some serious debts, at least in the thousands of dollars, ailments, divorce court settlements, etc. So he decided to install security cameras and didn't tell the maid. 5 weeks forward, and he has enough evidence to press charges on her as things she stole were valued at $250 plus. In my country, anything above $250 is considered a crime. He got furious when his flash disk containing private documents, as well as some of his billing and official work documents, was stolen, but he wanted her to get even more into the stealing so he could squish even the last cent out of her. So he came up with a plan. He told the maid that he and his girlfriend would be gone for a week on a honeymoon and that they would be going by taxi, not pay the extra money for airport parking. That meant his brand new Chevy Camaro would stay parked at the house the maid had keys for. They rented an apartment through Airbnb just a few blocks away from his place and placed a GPS tracking keychain into his car so he could see where his car was through the phone app. He then placed the car keys in a visible spot in the house so the maid would notice. All that was left was to wait for the magic to happen, and his intuition was right. After 2 days of almost constant watching, the GPS tracker's location left the garage. All of a sudden, the car was cruising at 90 miles an hour on the highway. My friend immediately called the cops. They caught the maid, something like 20 miles away. Now for the revenge to take place. He decided to press charges on the maid. In court, the maid told the judge my friend had told her to drive the car to some untold location. She acted like she forgot what it was. And the one that should go to jail is him, because he wrongly accused her and just wants to get money from her to pay his loan. But the tables turned. My friend and his lawyer showed the court all the video evidence of her stealing his stuff, valued at highly above $250. It was like $40,000 including the car, so it was a crime. She started swearing and telling every single lie she could think of. Security had to calm her down. She's now facing 5 years in jail and was charged a $5,000 fine, including all the stolen property but the car, his lawyer, and some other court stuff. The price was excluding the car because it was returned almost immediately. A few days later, police did a house check on her and found most of the stolen stuff there. There were also some other things reported missing from other customers of hers. Due to her previous debts and her new ones, she will very likely be a homeless person when she gets out of jail. And our second story. Delivery driver gets his karma twice. So this happened a few months ago, and I decided it goes here. I was driving down a small country road with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit that some choose to ignore. Coming up behind me was a standard work truck. I won't name names, but it was a popular automotive parts store delivery truck. Got right on my bumper. I'm not in a tiny car, but it is a sedan, and he was so close, all I could see was grill and hood in my mirror. While I stayed doing the speed limit, after about 3 minutes, He decided that a sharp curve was the perfect time to pass me, and surprise, surprise, there was a car coming after the curve. He swerved at me, I slammed on the brakes, nearly missing his bumper. Thankfully, I had this all on dash cam, front and back. I got home later, got the footage on my laptop, and called their 800 number with his plate number and truck number. The woman I spoke to was super apologetic, and she asked me to send her the video. She watched it while on the line with me and immediately asked if she could put me on hold. I said yes, and a few minutes later, she gets back and brings me someone else on the line, the local store manager of that driver. She'd sent him the video, and the manager apologized a ton and promised me right then and there that employee was terminated for that behavior. A few weeks go by, I don't hear anything till a friend of mine on Facebook sends me a link. The driver that was fired managed to get my name from his HR or manager or something and was trying to find me in real life because he lost his job and made a video wearing his work uniform threatening violence on me because of everything. I went to my local PD station about it and showed them the video and explained everything and was told I needed to speak to that company again because they let my name get out. I called them and told them everything going on and was told I'd get a call from their HR department within 2 to 3 business days. Literally 6 hours later, I receive a call from some higher-up HR person with one of their legal team on the phone. They wanted me to sign a document stating I won't publicly go after them or give negative PR if they sue him for me and get a restraining order and everything on this guy for what he threatened. They even offered to have a lawyer of my choosing go over it with me at no cost to me and sign it and have them handle it. Another few weeks go by, and that friend on Facebook, he knows the guy's family or something, said that the dude's mom posted some sob story that her friend is going through some expensive court case that he likely won't win because the other team is over 10 lawyers. So not only did he lose his job, he then tried to find me only to have his ex-employer sue him. LOL. And our next story. Don't let your enemy be a friend of your friends. So I was flicking through Facebook, but I remembered something that I did to someone in secondary school. Details are a little hazy, but here goes. Back in school, I was several things. Awkward and weird to the extreme. Bit of a runt, physically weak. Now I had the fortune to go to one of the grammar schools in the UK, so for the most part, nothing happened. But one person who I do remember sticks out. I'll call him AH, short for a-hole. Quite possibly the meanest bully I ever had. He was always trying something against me, and as a result, I spent a lot of time in the library or with teachers. After all, I was sick of him constantly trying to trip me or steal my things or make fun of me, or most annoyingly of all, try to copy my work. I took great pride in my success. I tried not to let it show. I look back surprised at how dumb that was, but every once in a while, I would eventually break down. This persisted for the first 2 years. He always acted alone, perhaps because he was trying not to look like an a-hole in front of everyone else. Anyhow, after those 2 years, AH decided to shove me in a locker. Now, I'm claustrophobic, and he knew that, and when I was trying to frantically resist, he left me with a broken nose. I was locked inside and was only let out when a teacher heard my pathetic sobs and pleas for help. He was suspended for a week. I spent some time in the medical room, and a week later it was all resolved. Except for the resentment I had. Not cool. The teachers were off the ball and doing nothing to protect me. I wanted this guy to suffer. I eventually got my chance. In mathematics, I was one of the best in the class. One of his friends was sorely struggling. Now, I wasn't the most socially adept person, but I knew my math. When he ended up sitting next to me, I helped him out. Gave him pointers, his grades began to improve. He started helping me out with things like art. I didn't really improve much, but we forged an unlikely friendship. Anyhow, the compound effect of this was twofold. Not only had I gained some protection from AH, but I also had entered his extended group of friends. And this friend I'd made started dragging me along to hang out with them during break periods. Within 6 months, I was friends with all of AH's friends. I always acted friendly around AH, never brought up anything at all. AH's friends were nice guys, treated me real good. I eventually suggested setting up study groups in the library, offered to arrange them. I asked about when everybody was available, and I always had things to do when AH was available. How inconvenient. As such, although he was invited, I made sure he wasn't there. Suffice to say, due to us studying together once a week, our grades in our weaker subjects started to individually improve. As for AH, he hadn't put in much work to his own success. Without his friends to mooch from, his grades started tanking. Suddenly, he was being really nice to me, trying to apologize to me in private so he wouldn't lose face in front of his friends. I told him my answer simply. This is the only exact phrase that I remember. You want to apologize? You apologize to me in front of your friends. This was now 8 months after the locker incident. He told me he would apologize. Okay, cool. I arranged the study group. This time, he could make it, and he gave his apology to me in front of his friends. I asked if he was just doing this for grades. After all, his friends knew that his grades were tanking and ours were on the rise. Cue my friends flipping out, asking him very pointed questions about what had happened. In that moment, I'd cut AH off from his friends and taken them as my own. His former friends were quick to ostracize him. I breezed through the rest of grammar school. We went our separate ways at college, took different subjects, and the group disbanded. Why was I reminded? Well, despite not talking to any of these guys in almost a decade, I found AH on Facebook. Facebook asked if I knew him. I had a quick look at his profile, very few friends, working at a deadbeat job at 26 as a cashier. And no one from my old study group was a friend of his. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.